How to communicate with a man effectively. Effective communication forms the bedrock of strong relationships, whether romantic, familial, professional, or platonic. When communicating with men, understanding their unique perspectives, preferences, and communication styles can significantly enhance the quality of interactions. While every man is an individual with distinct traits, certain strategies can foster clearer, more meaningful exchanges. This expanded essay delves deeply into practical and nuanced approaches to communicate effectively with men, emphasizing clarity, empathy, active listening, emotional intelligence, and cultural awareness, while addressing potential challenges and offering actionable solutions. Understand his communication style. Men's communication styles vary widely, influenced by personality, cultural background, and social conditioning. Some men prefer concise, task-oriented conversations, while others may engage in detailed or emotional discussions. Research, such as studies by linguist Deborah Tannen, suggests that men often lean toward report talk, focused on facts and solutions, rather than rapport talk, focused on connection and emotions. To communicate effectively, take time to observe his patterns. Does he respond better to direct questions or open-ended prompts? Does he prefer humor or seriousness? Tailoring your approach to his style, whether by matching his brevity or engaging in his preferred topics, builds rapport and reduces friction. For example, if he values quick exchanges, avoid overloading him with details. Instead, present your point succinctly and invite his input. Be clear and direct. Clarity is a cornerstone of effective communication, particularly with men who may prioritize straightforwardness. Ambiguity or overly subtle hints can lead to misunderstandings. When expressing needs, opinions, or requests, use precise language. For instance, instead of saying, "I wish we could spend more time together," say, "Can we plan a movie night this Friday?" This specificity minimizes confusion and provides a clear path for response. Directness also conveys confidence, which many men respect. However, balance clarity with kindness to avoid sounding demanding. For example, framing a request as a collaborative suggestion, like, "I'd love for us to work on this together," can maintain a positive tone while being unambiguous. Practice active listening. Active listening is a powerful tool for fostering mutual understanding. It involves fully focusing on what he's saying without interrupting or mentally preparing your response. Show engagement through nonverbal cues like nodding, maintaining eye contact, and leaning slightly forward. Verbal affirmations, such as "I hear you" or "That's a good point," reinforce that you value his input. To ensure clarity, paraphrase his thoughts when appropriate. "So, you're saying you're frustrated because the project deadline was moved up?" This not only confirms understanding, but also shows empathy. Active listening builds trust, encouraging him to share more openly over time. Avoid multitasking during conversations, as it can signal disinterest and weaken the connection. Respect emotional boundaries. Emotional expression varies among men, shaped by societal expectations and personal comfort levels. While some men are open about their feelings, others may find emotional discussions challenging or prefer to focus on practical matters. Pressuring him to share emotions prematurely can lead to withdrawal. Instead, create a safe, non-judgmental environment by asking gentle, open-ended questions like, "How's this situation been for you?" If he's hesitant, respect his pace and avoid taking it personally. Over time, consistent support and patience can encourage greater emotional openness. For instance, sharing your own feelings vulnerably, without expecting immediate reciprocation, can model emotional safety and build trust. Use positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement strengthens communication by fostering a collaborative and encouraging atmosphere. Acknowledge his efforts, whether he's solving a problem, sharing an opinion, or listening attentively. Simple affirmations like, "I really value how you took the time to explain that," or "Thanks for being so thoughtful," can boost his confidence and reinforce open dialogue. Positive feedback is especially effective when it's specific and genuine. For example, instead of a generic "good job," say, "I appreciated how you stayed calm during that tough conversation." Conversely, avoid harsh criticism or sarcasm, as these can trigger defensiveness and shut down communication. When offering constructive feedback, frame it positively. "I think we could improve this by trying X. What do you think?" Choose the right timing and setting. The timing and environment of a conversation significantly impact its success. Men, like anyone, are more receptive when they're relaxed and undistracted. Avoid initiating serious discussions during high-stress moments, such as after a long workday or during a heated situation. Instead, choose a calm, comfortable setting, like a quiet coffee shop, a walk in the park, or a relaxed evening at home, to discuss important topics. For example, a casual setting can make a serious conversation feel less confrontational. If timing is tricky, ask, "Is now a good time to talk about X, or would another time work better?" This shows respect for his mental space and sets the stage for a productive exchange. Be mindful of nonverbal cues. Nonverbal communication, body language, tone, and facial expressions carries significant weight. Studies suggest that up to 70% of communication is nonverbal, making it critical to align your body language with your words. Maintain open posture, uncrossed arms, relaxed shoulders to signal approachability. A warm tone and genuine smile can convey friendliness and reduce tension. Pay attention to his nonverbal cues as well. If he's avoiding eye contact or fidgeting, he may feel uncomfortable, signaling a need to adjust the conversation's tone or topic. For instance, if he seems tense, you might say, "I feel like this might be a tough topic. Want to take a break and come back to it?" This sensitivity fosters trust and keeps communication flowing. Avoid assumptions and stereotypes. Stereotypes about men's communication, such as assuming they're unemotional or uninterested in deep conversations, can hinder effective dialogue. Each man is unique, and assumptions based on gender alone can lead to miscommunication. Approach each interaction with an open mind, free from preconceived notions. If you're unsure about his perspective, ask clarifying questions like, "Can you share more about what you mean?" Or "What's your take on this?" This shows respect for his individuality and prevents misunderstandings. Cultural and social factors also influence communication, so consider his background. For example, men from collectivist cultures may prioritize group harmony, while those from individualistic cultures may value directness. Handle conflicts constructively. Conflicts are inevitable, but handling them constructively can strengthen communication. Focus on the issue, not the person, to avoid escalating tensions. Use "I" statements to express feelings without blaming. "I feel frustrated when we don't discuss plans in advance," instead of "You never plan anything." This reduces defensiveness and keeps the conversation solution-oriented. Allow him space to express his perspective without interruption and validate his feelings, even if you disagree. "I understand why you'd feel that way." Seek compromise or common ground, such as, "What if we try X to address both our needs?" If emotions run high, take a brief pause to cool down, ensuring the discussion remains productive. Cultivate emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is the ability to recognize and manage your emotions while understanding others. High EQ enhances communication by helping you navigate complex emotional dynamics. For example, if he seems withdrawn, your EQ might prompt you to ask, "Is something on your mind?" rather than assuming disinterest. Practice self-awareness to avoid projecting your emotions onto him. If you're upset, acknowledge it calmly. "I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, so I might need a moment before we continue." Developing EQ also means recognizing when he's struggling to articulate emotions and offering support, such as, "It seems like this is tough to talk about. Want to share what's going on?" Adapt to digital communication. In today's digital age, much communication happens via text, email, or video calls. Men may respond differently in these formats, often preferring brevity or visual clarity. When texting, keep messages concise and clear, avoiding long paragraphs that might overwhelm. For example, instead of a lengthy text, send, "Hey, can we talk about the weekend plans tonight?" In video calls, maintain engagement through eye contact, looking at the camera, and clear audio. Be mindful of tone in written communication, as it's easy to misinterpret without vocal cues. If a misunderstanding arises, address it promptly. "I think my last message came across wrong. Here's what I meant." Address cultural and social influences. Cultural and social factors shape how men communicate. For instance, men from Western cultures may value assertiveness, while those from Eastern cultures may prioritize subtlety or group consensus. Understanding these influences can prevent missteps. If he's from a culture that values indirect communication, avoid overly blunt statements and use softening phrases like, "I was wondering if we could consider." Similarly, societal expectations around masculinity, such as pressure to appear stoic, can affect emotional expression. Acknowledge these influences without judgment and adapt your approach to align with his comfort zone while gently encouraging openness. Encourage mutual growth. Effective communication is a shared journey of growth. Encourage him to share feedback about how you communicate. "Is there anything I could do to make our conversations easier?" This invites collaboration and shows your commitment to improving the dynamic. Similarly, share your needs respectfully. "I find it helpful when we set aside time to talk without distractions." By framing communication as a mutual effort, you create a partnership where both parties feel valued. Over time, this fosters a cycle of continuous improvement, deepening trust and connection. Conclusion: communicating effectively with a man requires a thoughtful blend of clarity, empathy, and adaptability. By understanding his communication style, practicing active listening, respecting emotional boundaries, and using positive reinforcement, you can create a foundation for meaningful dialogue. Choosing the right timing, being mindful of nonverbal cues, and addressing conflicts constructively further enhance interactions. Avoiding stereotypes, cultivating emotional intelligence, and adapting to digital and cultural contexts ensure that communication remains relevant and inclusive. Ultimately, fostering mutual respect and collaboration transforms communication into a powerful tool for building stronger, more authentic relationships. With patience and practice, these strategies can lead to lasting connections grounded in understanding and trust. Effective communication is a cornerstone of any healthy relationship, and understanding how to communicate effectively with a man is a valuable skill. While generalizations should always be taken with a grain of salt, there are some common communication styles and preferences that many men share. By being mindful of these, you can foster clearer understanding, reduce conflict, and build a stronger connection. One key aspect of communicating with a man effectively is to be direct and concise. Many men are socialized to be problem-versed and action-oriented. They often appreciate when you get straight to the point rather than beating around the bush. Instead of hinting or hoping he'll read your mind, clearly state what you need or what you're feeling. For example, instead of saying, "I'm so tired and the house is a mess," try, "I would really appreciate it if you could help me with the dishes and laundry." This direct approach provides him with a clear action item, which he can then respond to. Another important point is to focus on one issue at a time. When you have multiple grievances, it can be overwhelming for anyone, but particularly for someone who processes information in a linear fashion. Bombarding him with a list of everything he's done wrong can feel like an attack and will likely lead to him shutting down. Instead, choose the most pressing issue and address it calmly and respectfully. Once that has been discussed and a resolution is in sight, you can move on to the next topic if necessary. This methodical approach allows for a more productive conversation and a greater chance of a positive outcome. Timing is also crucial. Trying to have a serious conversation when he is stressed, distracted, or in the middle of a task is a recipe for disaster. Men, like all people, need to be in the right headspace to truly listen and engage. A good time might be during a relaxed walk, while driving, or after a meal when you're both calm and focused. You can also preface the conversation by asking, "Is now a good time to talk about something?" This shows respect for his time and state of mind, making him more receptive to what you have to say. When discussing sensitive topics, try to use I statements. Instead of accusatory, use statements like, "You never listen to me," which can put him on the defensive Use phrases that express your feelings, such as, "I feel unheard when I'm trying to share something with you." This shifts the focus from his perceived failure to your emotional experience, making it a conversation about your needs rather than his shortcomings. This approach encourages empathy and is less likely to trigger a defensive response. Finally, remember the importance of respect and appreciation. Just as you want to be heard, he wants to feel valued. Acknowledging his efforts and showing gratitude for his contributions, no matter how small, can make him feel seen and appreciated. Positive reinforcement is a powerful tool. When he does something you like, tell him. For instance, "I really appreciate it when you do the dishes without me asking. It makes my day so much easier." This not only reinforces the behavior, but also shows him that you notice and value his actions. In conclusion, communicating effectively with a man involves a blend of directness, clarity, and respect. By being straightforward, addressing one issue at a time, choosing the right moment, using I statements, and showing appreciation, you can bridge potential communication gaps and build a stronger, more loving relationship. It's about finding a rhythm that works for both of you and understanding that while communication styles may differ, the desire for connection and understanding is universal. The art of connection: how to communicate effectively with a man. The quest for effective communication between the sexes has inspired countless books, seminars, and late-night conversations. The common narrative often simplifies this into a battle of planets, where men are from Mars and women are from Venus. While this can be a useful metaphor, it risks oversimplifying the rich, complex tapestry of human interaction. Effective communication with a man is less about decoding an alien language and more about understanding a different dialect of the same core human needs: to be heard, respected, and valued. Mastering this art requires moving beyond stereotypes and embracing a strategy built on clarity, context, and empathy. The cornerstone of effective communication with many men is directness and clarity. This is often misconstrued as a lack of nuance, but it is better understood as a preference for efficiency in language. Men are frequently socialized to be problem solvers. When presented with an issue, their instinct is often to immediately search for a solution. Therefore, a conversation that meanders through a forest of emotions and details before arriving at the central point can be frustrating for them. To bridge this gap, it is powerfully effective to be clear about the intent of the conversation. Beginning with a straightforward headline, such as, "I need to vent about my day, I don't need solutions, just a listening ear," or "I'm facing a problem and I'd really value your advice," provides crucial context. This sets the stage and aligns expectations, allowing him to switch into the appropriate mode, either empathetic listener or active problem solver, thereby avoiding miscommunication and frustration on both sides. Furthermore, the medium of communication is just as important as the message. For many men, side-by-side communication can be far more comfortable than sustained, direct face-to-face interaction. The pressure of eye contact and a confrontational posture can feel like an inquisition, triggering a defensive response. Engaging in an activity together, driving in a car, working on a project, walking the dog, creates a neutral, low-pressure environment. The shared focus on a task dilutes the intensity of the conversation, allowing for a more natural and effortless exchange of thoughts and feelings. In this setting, guards are down, and truths are often revealed more readily than in a formal, "we need to talk" scenario. This approach honors a common masculine comfort zone, making connection feel like a collaborative effort rather than a high-stakes negotiation. Perhaps the most critical element, however, is the recognition and appreciation of his communicative style. Society often teaches men to express care and commitment through actions rather than words. Fixing a broken appliance, filling up your car with gas, or simply showing up when you need help are all profound statements of love and support. To dismiss these actions as inferior to verbal affirmation is to miss a fundamental part of how he communicates. Effective communication involves acknowledging and valuing this language of action. A simple, "Thank you for taking care of that," It really made me feel supported, validates his efforts, and strengthens the bond. It demonstrates that you are listening to what he is saying, even when he isn't speaking. Finally, true effectiveness is rooted in patience and the creation of a safe space. Vulnerability is not a state that comes easily to everyone, often due to social conditioning that equates emotional openness with weakness. Pushing, demanding, or criticizing a man for not communicating correctly will only reinforce his retreat. Instead, fostering safety through trust, confidentiality, and non-judgmental listening is paramount. When he does share something difficult, responding with gratitude, "Thank you for trusting me with that," builds the foundation for further openness. It signals that his vulnerability is not only accepted but cherished. In conclusion, communicating effectively with a man is an art that requires adjusting our own techniques as much as understanding his. It is a practice built on the pillars of clarity to satisfy a solution-oriented mindset, context to create a comfortable environment for dialogue, and appreciation to validate his unique language of action. It is not about changing his core nature or surrendering your own needs, but about building a bridge between two styles. When both parties feel understood on their own terms, communication transcends mere exchange of words and becomes a genuine, deepening connection.